Let others complain that the age is wicked. My complaint is that it is wretched, for it lacks passion. Men's thoughts are thin and flimsy like lace. They are themselves pitiable like the lace makers. The thoughts of their hearts are too paltry to be sinful. For a worm it might be regarded as a sin to harbor such thoughts, but not for a being made in the image of God. Their lusts are dull and sluggish, their passions sleepy. They do their duty, these shopkeeping souls, but they clip the coin a trifle. Like the Jews, they think that even if the Lord keeps ever so careful a set of books, they may still cheat him a little. Out upon them! This is the reason my soul always turns back to the Old Testament and to Shakespeare. I feel that those who speak there are at least human beings. They hate, they love, they murder their enemies and curse their descendants throughout all generations. They sin. These two familiar strains of the violin. These two familiar strains here at the moment in the middle of the street. Have I lost my senses? Does my ear, which from love of Mozart's music has ceased to hear, create these sounds? Have the gods given me, unhappy beggar at the door of the temple, have they given me an ear that makes the sounds it hears? Only two strains, now I hear nothing more, just as they burst forth from the deep choral tones of the immortal overture. So here they extricate themselves from the noise and confusion of the street. With all the surprise of a revelation, it must be here in the neighborhood. For now I hear the lighter tones of the dance music. And so it is to you, unhappy artist pair, I owe this joy. One of them was about 17. He wore a coat of green kalmuck with large bone buttons. The coat was much too large for him. He held the violin close up under his chin. His hat was pressed down over his eyes. His hand was hidden in a glove without fingers. His fingers were red and blue from cold. The other man was older. He wore a chenille shawl. Both were blind. A little girl, presumably their guide, stood in front of them, her hands tucked under her neckerchief. We gradually gathered around them, some admirers of this music, a letter carrier with his mailbag, a little boy, a servant girl, a couple of roustabouts. The well-appointed carriages rolled noisily by. The heavy wagons drowned out the strains, which by snatches flashed forth. Unhappy artist pair, do you know that those tones are an epitome of all the glories of the world? How like a tryst it was!